Yes, a lot of time has passed since our latest webinar. So finally, we did our homework and invited very nice guest, professional in his field and very well known in the industry, I would say. So today, I guess we'll start with the brief introductions. My name is Ivan. I'm a partner, head of the consulting department at 4H agency. Together with me on this magnificent webinar, our guest, then Ghita, who is the chairman of the Romanian Gambling Association. So we will have a lot of interesting facts about Romania and deep dive, I would say, into this Romanian market. And also together with me on this webinar, our dearest consultant, Igor. We will be diving into the Serbian regulations and the outlook of the market in general. So it's a great pleasure to have you all here. Thank you very much for our dearest participants of the webinar to join us today. And as you might understand, today we're going to talk about gambling regulations, gambling markets in such magnificent countries like Serbia and Romania. It's a great thing that we gather together and can dive into the details and this. And also my additional and very much thanks to the Hipther agency, which allowed us with this media support on this magnificent webinar in order to share with more audience. So thank you very much, Zoltan. Such a great pleasure to work with you again. I'm feeling this webinar would be kind of like gathering of old friends because we've been in a lot of panels with Dan, and it's a great pleasure to have him on board of any panels. Dan, any I would say opening thoughts on the webinar, or we can just go there.
Just hello to everybody. Thank you for introduction, Ivan. Hello to everybody, and thank you, Zoltan, for having us here. So we can proceed from our side. So when you are ready, we can start looking into the material to give information to the people that is working.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Dan. Much appreciated as always. Okay, so in terms of the agenda, we're going to speak today about the following items. I would say that it's not something extraordinary or something that maybe you have never known about, right? But I think that it's the right time to take a deep look into Serbia and Romania, take into account that both markets has undergone quite a significant changes in their regulations, and it definitely affects business outlook of such markets. And let's start with the, I would say, baseline, right? Licensing conditions. This is the other things that usually being asked us, but at the consultancy agency, I guess then is also being asked about new operators coming to Romanian market. So I think it would be quite important to share a couple of insights in relation to the how basically currently licensing conditions are being constructed, and how we should, I would say, approach to such an interesting fact. Because from my practice, I had a lot of, I would say, people coming to Serbian and Romanian market. But to be honest, sometimes clients do not really dig into the particularities of such regulations. And they pay via their money in terms of the, how can I put it, very hard entrance to the market, which can be easier, I would say, if these details would be known from the scratch, from the very beginning. So Igor, if you don't mind, could you please share, I would say, your view on Serbia licensing conditions, and then we can move to the Romanian licensing conditions subsequently.
Thank you, Ivan, and welcome everybody to this webinar. My name is Igor. I'm attorney at law here in Serbia, so I'll take you through these conditions for Serbian jurisdiction. I would say, looking at these conditions, there are no surprises here. Basically, local legal entity is required. You need to have a company in Serbia in order to obtain the license. There are different rules on the minimum share capital required, which we will go into at a later stage. And just the classic stuff as you would expect, the disclosure of UBO, the criminal certification, and so on. And of course, certification of the platform. Those are kind of the biggies. You would also have a cooperation with tax administration. You have to have so basically incorporate your system with them and with the games of chance administration. Also, something that is that's required here is to have a local server. So you need to have servers in Serbia in order to get a license here. Starting from the beginning of the last year, we had some amendments that actually came into power in December of 24, but started applying from January of 25 that we'll talk about more later. And with those amendments, I'd say that we are now pretty much aligned with the EU requirements. So anything you might see in an EU jurisdiction, you'll find also here. But I'd say maybe the process is a bit less strict than it would be in EU.
That's interesting. Yes. Then, if you can share a couple of thoughts, and then I might ask a couple of kind of interesting questions about especially certification stuff.
Yes, so basically in Romania it's almost the same. You need to have permanent establishment here in Romania. Everything what Igor said is also valid for Romania. So I don't want to repeat it to lose time. So basically until now we are having exactly the same requirements. We are talking about administrative perspective.
Perfect. One important thing, I guess, this is something that I'm usually hearing from my mostly Asian or CIS clients about the certification of the platform. This is some, I would say, cornerstone that a lot of operators are quite kind of afraid of to do, because not all operators have their platform to be certified in accordance with the regulations, especially EU regulations, right? So how is the situation in Serbia compared to Romania? Let's start with Serbia and then move to Romania, if nobody against.
So in Serbia, you have to certify platform locally. There are two big, I'd say, governmental organizations that do it. It's the Faculty of Mathematics and the Military Institute. And if you have a certification from an EU certified lab, the process is simpler, but you cannot use that certification, instead of the domestic process. And I would say, of course, that the whole process is less strict than it would be in the EU. But of course, the basics have to be covered. You have to have a functioning platform, and you have to have a compliant platform in order to get certified. The process itself doesn't take too long. There is no, we don't see some delays here, 1 to 2 months for whole process, or let's say up to 3 months is what you would usually expect.
One thing that really caught my attention is the naming of such the institute who certifies the platform. From the naming, it doesn't seem that these, I would say, authorities kind of profile, specializing in certifying gambling platforms, if I'm hearing you correctly, because I remember one project that we've done for some operator entering Serbian market, and this was very interesting for me that, well, I already seen it in ex-Soviet countries, for example, like in Ukraine, they have the list of the laboratories, list of the certifying authorities, and they also were connected to the weather something, to the military something, and you would just like wondering, do they really know how to certify, I would say, in the great details of the gambling platform, which is, well, there are like, we all know, we're all in this business for a long time. There are like mentioned, I would say, quite important testing laboratories, which are being recognized all over the world, BMI, GLL, whatsoever. But I guess the situation in Romania is not that easy in terms of certification of the platform like in Serbia. What do you think then?
In Romania is a little bit is more strictly. I mean, you need to be a certified lab. After that, you need to have a class 2 license in Romania, and after that, you are able to offer the certification for the platform providers or for the product providers, which also they need to have a class 2 license here in Romania. So this is a short description of the process. Each product that comes to Romania needs to be under a class 2 license B2B provider. And after that, yes, you cannot come and just say, I want to have the platform certified. You need to have a class 2 license or to give the product to someone that already has this license and to work under this class 2 license. And after that, the certification that you have it will allow you to start integrating. And after you have the integration, you go to the commission with the certification together with the operator, and you obtain the right for the product to be live on the platform. And it's almost the same is for the land-based equipment. If we are talking about slot machines or roulette or so on, they need to be certified one time when they come in Romania, like a type approval. and you certify the type, and then every year you need to certify the equipment, because in Romania it's mandatory, like every year the equipment, we are talking now about retail equipment, it should be certified yearly, which is the same rule like for online. Every year the platform needs to be certified, because you need to reauthorize your platform into the 10-year license period.
Wow, wow, wow. Wow, that's interesting. By the way, for example, if the operator has its own platform, he is not using some third-party platform, what obviously this platform should be certified, I understand it, but does he need to obtain additional B2B license to the upcoming B2C license in order to, I would say, use his own platform? Or how does it work?
If you already have a class 1 license, no. Yes, you don't have to do it. But imagine if someone comes with its own license, with own platform in Romania, and it doesn't have any license. First is to have this class 2 license, certify the platform, and then apply for the class 1 license. The class 1 license is the strongest. So if you have this, you can be also a payment processor and also provider, game provider, if you have it and you are the owner of the products, without needed to have the class 2 license under operations.
At least it worked, because I would be really, I would say, amazed by the fact, for example, if operator is owning its own platform, which he can certify and he can adhere to the regulations, and he would still need to obtain additional, I would say, class 2 license to work under the class 1 license. At least this is covered, so not that bad. Okay, cool. Thank you very much for this. It's hugely interesting and, well, seems at least doable. But overall, about the technical requirements, I faced it by myself when we were assisting one of our clients to enter the Romanian market, that it's very, it's a burdensome procedure, because I work in different markets and I have seen a lot of, I would say, either local certification, which is, well, doable, but not that hard, I would say. But when you're adhering to the basically Romanian legislation, it's really sometimes, you need to be very much compliant, I would say, in terms of this platform. By the way, if we can compare, if it's possible, I don't know if you're aware of, maybe some kind of tricky question about Maltese, I would say, certification of the platform, and Romanian. Does it go in line with this? Or
it's almost the same. And no, you are talking about technical and compliance requirements.
Yes.
If you ask me, those technical and compliance requirements needs to be very tough. Doesn't matter the jurisdictions, because this is the base of the product, and from here you can understand if the product is safe or not for the players, if the product respects, everything what is related to anti-money laundering, reporting, and so on. So if you don't have a very strong technical and compliance requirements, you might be, having some issues during the operation time. On the other side, if you ask me, okay, there are tough requirements here in Romania, but are doable. It's not a problem. It takes time, and it takes time because it's always not only the operator and the certification body that certifies, is also the third party, which is usually the platform provider or the, other product providers. And being many people involved in this, it's always a delay, because if the certification body comes and asks for something, then the operator needs to talk with the third party, and it takes time. But this is doable. Again, the biggest challenge here in Romania is the bank account. It's very hard to open a bank account, because the bank, the Romanian National Bank, is very tough and very strict, and because of the way of how they are seeing the industry, and then how they are controlling the banks, is very tough, and most of the banks, they are afraid to open, because it's a huge headache for them.
Am I correct in understanding that you're talking about a situation when, for example, operator already obtained the license and he still have troubles of opening?
No. When you apply first time, if you pass this step on having already an account, is not a problem in any of the 10 years when you apply for reauthorization. But first time when you take the license, it's tough. It's very, very hard.
Interesting. Because well, I have a very interesting experience in Ukraine, actually, where because the situation in Ukraine was actually a little bit different. When you are like already have like license issued by the place city or previous regulatory authority, you still have problems to open the bank account. And for me, it was like super shocked event. Like, guys, we already taken very, I would say, expensive license, right? Why we still have problems with opening of the bank accounts, right, for this. So it was a great, I would say, surprise for me. But okay, and what about Serbia, by the way, Igor? Is it like hard to do the bank account at first, or it's how situation look there?
Well, it's in Serbia, you have to have a bank account before obviously
Yeah,
applying
obviously.
for a license, and you have to. So where the problem might happen is obviously you need to transfer the minimum share capital, which is substantial, from to the local bank and to the local account. So obviously you have strong DD on the source of wealth, the source of capital. But if you pass the AML regulations, then you won't have a problem. But you just have to obviously have a strong documentation there. But generally, it's not going to be a problem here.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Let's move forward because I think that we can speak a lot on this slide. And let's focus maybe on the fee structure in terms of the entering of the Romanian market, because obviously in Romania there is a very, very, I would say, diversified system of the annual license fees, authorization fees, and basically how much money do the operator need to pay in order to enter the Romanian market.
Okay, so they need a lot of money.
Let's move forward.
To be like small conclusion. Especially from 2025, when they introduced these guarantee fees, which they were also before. But for example, in online, if you want to have also a sports betting license or casino license, it's almost 35 times more than before. So in this moment, since 2025, if you want to have online license covering casino and sports betting, you need to have 5 million euro only the guarantee. So it's very, very big. Yes, it's very big. On top of this, you need to have the license fee, which is 300,000 euro. The license is for 10 years, and this is yearly. Of course, you need to have the share capital, which is 200,000 euro, or more or less, it's 1 million RON. And you have also the other taxes, yes, like is responsible gambling tax, which is 500,000 euro per year per operator, which is huge, and they have a lot of money that they can invest in this area. And also you have 2% from the deposits on top on this. Yeah,
Wow.
and then the authorization fee, which is a separate tax from 2025, it's 30%. Then
Wow.
from GGR, yes, from GGR, and it's not less than 480,000 euro per year. This means that this is paid in the beginning of the year, and it's based on a projection that the operator makes. Of course, all the operators makes the projection minimum, so that the minimum fee should be 480,000. But this is calculated monthly. So, for example, if in January you paid 480,000, and this is equivalent of the 30%, and in the second month the 30% is 800,000, you start paying the difference, and you do this calculation every month until the end of the year. So the first payment of the year is minimum 480,000, and then it's correlated with the difference that you make, depending on each month that you are calculated this 30%.
I guess it would be a logical question from my end because we did interesting research maybe a couple of years ago about the, I would say, channelization rate. Basically, this means I would say, the amount of the black market compared to amount of the legal market, take into account license fees amount and overall financial burden aligned with the taxes. And obviously, this studies show that the higher entrance you have in terms of the funds, in terms of the taxes and all this stuff, and if it's not correlated in the right balance, so the increase of the black market is basically something that you can expect and you will see in a short period of time. So my question would be quite logical. How do you find this financial burden in general? Is it balanced or too high? just your thoughts on this.
What you are saying is perfectly right. So everywhere in any jurisdiction depends on the moment when we are talking about, but each jurisdiction has a line that you should not pass. Then this line is the maximum supportability of the industry that can take from tax perspective. Yeah, if we are talking now about Romania, in this moment, this maximum is different than the maximum of 5-10 years ago and so on, because this is a dynamic industry and it needs to be analyzed, I don't know, maybe one time of 5 or one time of 10 years, and to adapt the legislation, and this needs to be done. Another thing that I want to tell you, I was and I will be always supportive of of an industry and of a legislation which is centric around the player, because player is important and we need to understand that we need to protect players. And from there, we need to build the infrastructure of, if we talk about technical or other kind of taxes. In this moment in Romania, the taxes are a little bit high. And this answer is strictly for online. It's a little bit high, and the effect, because we will move also for the retail, and I'll give you there, because there is disaster what's happening here in Romania. But for online, it's a little bit high, and we all can feel it in a huge attack of the black market here in Romania. If you look on the blacklist that the National Gambling Office is putting and is updating every month, it's crazy what's happening there, with all kind of sites that are using, dynamic IPs or changing just a number of the name, and with all kind of offers that are very hard to say no from the player perspective. It's very hard to refuse that you don't have any deposit percentage, no percentage from the redrawing of the prices. You can be paid in crypto and so on. So it will be a huge challenge, and it is a huge challenge everywhere in the world, especially also here in Romania, because in this moment, my opinion is that Romania is not ready for the black market, because putting a site on a blacklist doesn't mean nothing. It's nothing. It's absolutely nothing. This needs to be correlated with much more actions that state needs to do when needs to fight with the black market. And this is like, needs to go to talk with the B2B providers. You need to go and talk with the payment providers to restrict them, to tell them that, okay, guys, you are going in the black market means that in, for example, Romania, you cannot stay because you are offering for the both sides your products and you are risking my players and so on. The discussion is very long. In this moment, we are not talking about only Romania, because probably the whole Europe is in the same situation. Another big minus that Europe has is that there is not a mechanism of interconnectability between the states. From the information perspective, from the anti-money laundering, because at least, legislative wise, you cannot have the same legislation in all the countries. It's obviously, it will never happen. If someone tries to force this, will make a lot of mess. But from anti-money laundering, responsible gambling, restricting players, when I'm talking players, not players like black market operators or providers that gives to the black market, or even if we are talking now, because there are a lot of B2B providers that have a lot of products and they give it to the guys that also have black market. If we put them on the table and explain them that they don't need to do this, and also impose some restrictions and also fines, and also take them to court if it's necessary, then the black market won't be so attractive, because you won't have a good payment processor, you won't have the same products like the players are used to play with, and so on. So this is one thing. On the other thing, this interconnectability between the states will give also another big plus, because, for example, if it's in Romania a case where in Serbia, for example, or I don't know, in France, or I take another jurisdiction, they are doing unkosher thing and they are going on black market and so on, we can tell them, or the other way, guys, see, these operators is in your country, they have license, but in the rest part of Europe, they are in black market. So if we don't unify our forces, it will be very, very hard, because technology-wise, they are always one step before us. So it's very, very, very hard to fight with these things that I just described you.
You're more than correct in the statement, and I 100% agree. And just to add, I would say, additional layer of thought to this, you're talking about just cooperation between the European member states, right? At least here. But
Yeah, yeah.
what we should do with these Anjouan, Curacao, whatsoever offshore licenses there, right? So even between the states in the European Union, it's quite hard to cooperate and basically to do, I would say, cross-border, I would say, enforcement or something associated with this, right? How can we even deal with the problem of the countries who are not in the European Union and allow their products, I would say, their licenses to work across the Europe? So this is something that additional, I would say, big problem along this road.
You know how it is. It's exactly how it's happening with the alcohol black market, or with the tobacco black market, or other black markets. Yeah, it is a constant fight. If you don't fight with it, you don't at least slow it down, because I mean, this interconnectability between the states, or not even the states, let's say the European countries, will be another step forward towards slowing them down and not letting them do whatever they want. If we are talking about Curacao and so on, of course there are a lot of problems there, but if you cover the situation when you tell to the B2B providers that they are not allowed to give to any jurisdiction, I will say all around the world, to someone to black market, then like this you close it. Payment processor, the same thing, and so on. You at least put some sticks in the wheel for the black market. Of course,
Exactly.
this will never end. It will never end. There are people that are playing in black market just because they want to play there in the black market. They have this adrenaline thing, and this is their state of mind. But if you don't do something, and the fact that the European countries, they don't talk between them, and there is not this information change between them, it's a big minus. And the black market do whatever they want freely, and if they are banned in one country, they go in another one. They find a way from there to stream and to take players from the country where they were before, and so on.
100% agree. Cannot say anything against it, and it's 100% true. And something that really strikes my mind is that all legislators, I would say, in European Union or not European Union, doesn't matter. They try to make the life of the license operators harder and harder each and every day. Obviously, this is the nature of the gambling business. Governments usually being, I would say, general attitude toward this. It's understandable, but at the same time, when all efforts are being focused on the locally licensed operators, and there is a big, I would say, gap in focusing on the combating the offshore gambling market. So it kind of sounds to me not really logical, because we try to tighten regulations for the operators who are basically, try to adhere to something, right? They try to make the product safe for the player, as you correctly mentioned about the player safety. And they're still getting another, I would say, taxes, another fees, another, I would say, restrictions in terms of advertising or whatsoever. So it's kind of like fighting with somebody who already giving you all their cards. Like, here we're operating, we're paying money, we're paying taxes. Why are you punishing us but not the black market? So this is something.
Yes. This is very wrong to try to fight the black market with the regulated market.
Yeah.
Very wrong. And I saw this in
every country.
So a lot of regulators. I don't know how many fines this year, and I put this and I made this okay, but this is from the regulated market. It's people that wants to do real business, pay taxes. Okay, it's around people and there are mistakes. There's no doubt about this, but don't go like you are Superman because you gave to a very strong operator that is present in 20 countries 50 fines. This is I don't know, a communist way of doing things. But you know how it was at the end of the year. We gave so many fines, we fined so many people, we put so many in prison. Very good, it's very good. But where is where is the education? Where is the responsible programs, so on? Because this is a way of how you should do things. You don't go like you are saying, not only trying to change the legislation directly. You need to go to the education. You need to educate the players to tell them what are the benefits of playing in a regulated market and in an operator that has license, and what are the risks to play on a black market, to make responsible gaming programs so that people understand that this is entertainment. It's not something that you go there and win money and think that you'll get rich from it. This is a set of mind that takes time. We are from the same part of Europe, and we are not far away from the communists, and we still have we are still learning. We are still learning. And I mean, for example, if you cannot compare us with the USA, where I am with my girlfriend or my wife, and I have an amount of money, and I say, okay, tonight we are not going to the dinner or to movie, we are going to a casino. We have this amount of money, but that's it. With this money, we eat, we drink something, and we play. When the money finishes, that's it. Some part of Europe, they have 100 euro there and they play 200 because they cannot stop it. This is where authorities should go and give information and educate the players and the population, and try to make it part of the fight with the black market.
True. Okay, let's move forward. That's very interesting, to be honest, insights. And this is something that I'm here, like in each and every panel in different parts of the world. But still, governments are trying to lock down and tighten the legal operators.
Yes.
Well, maybe, I guess we will see this shift in terms of the combating of the offshore market at some point. But everywhere the regulation is coming. And we see it in different parts of the world. So the problem of enforcement of this regulation. So we yet to see, I guess, a big. We all remember the times in like 2010 or something like that, when like you have offshore Curacao license, and you were so easy to operate all over the world. It was like a miracle. Right now, it's not that easy, right? Already, so you already have a lot of implications around this. So it's the matter of the project. Okay, let's move forward.
Okay, so from this was like a little bit what happens in Romania, and we spoke a lot about online. In just a small phrase to close this gap, it's
Sure.
like slot machines are under attack because it was a crazy. There were many crazy decisions since 1.5 years when the restriction under 15,000 inhabitants was applied here in Romania. So under 15,000 inhabitants cities, you are not allowed to operate slot machines. This 15,000, like a number, came from nowhere. They didn't do a study and they didn't check which are the areas and so on. And from around 14,000 cities, villages, and places where you could operate slot machines before, after they put these 15,000 inhabitant rules, it's less than 300 places where you can do it. So what happened in a lot of areas, most of the areas where machines were forbidden, they were relocated to the big cities. And in front of the population, the effect of the law was exactly opposite. Because in big cities where people really see things and they are talking a lot, they say, okay, well, you changed the law and you said that you are forbidden machines, but I see more locations in the last 1 year than before. Why? Because they don't understand those locations are because everybody migrate from the places where they've been before. Now it was a huge tension around this subject in the last year, and lately, couple of 2-3 months ago, they put this new rule that to decentralize the power of the authorization. So the mayor of each city where the slot machines are allowed to be operated to have the right to decide if they will let or not the slot machines to be operated on their territory. You can imagine that populism in this situation is very high, and most of the mayors, they said, okay, we will forbid everything and it will be crazy. No machines will be on our city and so on. It looks very good. It sounds very good. Population supports this, but they don't understand that banning means automatically black market. And it's happening, unfortunately. There are a lot of places from the countryside where they are operating black market because it's a lot of money, and for sure it will be more. Now the question for the authorities from our side was always like, you need to understand that forbidden means black market, and because of the fact that this is the result of what you are doing, who will be responsible for this? Because this is the question in any jurisdiction. You know, a politician comes, kicks the alcohol, tobacco, and gambling, then he leaves behind a cost that is supported by the society, and no one is responsible for this, because this will happen. And we talk us now, when we talk now here, we talk between us, people that understand this, but they don't understand gambling, they don't understand the effect of killing a market and restricting it or closing it, and those will be for sure the effects. This is like a short description of what's happening in the retail for you to understand what is the situation.
Thank you for this. I guess I have one follow-up logical question, if I may. Obviously, being the chairman of the Romanian Gambling Association, you definitely provide your arguments, your drafts to the government. Do they do not listen at all, or what is the problem? Do you see? Because obviously,
we have a lot of professional people here in Romania, and we are doing our best effort to start dialogue and express the real life of what's happening in this industry, and not with example only from Romania, giving example in other jurisdictions outside Romania, Europe, and non-European jurisdictions that are maybe 10, 20, 30, 50, maybe 100 years in front of us with gambling, giving examples not to repeat the same mistakes. The feedback is the following. Most of them, they don't understand and they don't care. They care only the fact that they are talking nice and the population make applause to them that they are killing this industry. And the ones that understand, they are afraid to talk because they said, look, if I go publicly and say that you are right, everybody will say, you have something with this operator, or you take money from the industry, you kill people. So it gives this narrative to the opposition to attack them. And when I say opposition, I'm not referring to a certain party, because when I say that some of them, they understand, I'm talking about people from each party that they understand. But if a liberal will say something good, then a social democrat will say something bad about this liberal. Or if a social democrat will say something good, then the liberal will say, you are some. So they are attacking themselves, and they are afraid to say something good about this industry. And this is everywhere in the world. So unfortunately, this is what we are facing now, industry-wise. Again, I'm sure that in all the jurisdictions are like this, because I'm following a lot of jurisdictions and the legislation and how the things are going. And we are just spectators, And unfortunately, this is the truth. This is the truth. This is very, very low involvement, let's say like this, direct involvement from our side when the legislation is drafted. Okay, they call us, we talk and so on, but the result is exactly what I'm telling you. It's just some ideas, and if we say something, they will put it in the legislation totally different, and they think they are clever than us and so on. Unfortunately, this is the situation. But again, someone needs to be responsible for those effects and for the costs that the population will support.
Are you still optimistic in your dialogues with the government, taking into account that, as you mentioned, you're basically, not you, but in general, the industry is a kind of the spectator of the gambling regulations development and restructuring?
We are doing all our best. We will always fight with this, because this is our job and this is the industry where we are. But our expectations are much bigger than what's happening in real life.
Got it. Wow, very nice. Because for me, it's always a great, I would say, advantage to hear about how in different countries the dialogue between the market in general, associations representing the market, being communicated with the governments. Because I've seen a lot of examples, and most of the situation as you described, but the situation changes only when the government authorities hire some people who understands the industry in its complexity, in the amount of the stakeholders, account how they cooperate between each other. I mean, on the global level or on the regional level, it doesn't matter. And this is something that I'm currently seeing in Ukraine. We did a couple of projects in Kazakhstan in relation to basically giving the information to the authorities how it should be constructed. But yeah, and they definitely try to hear something about this. So because it was a really fun fact, when we were standing on the offline webinar for the basically each and every Kazakhstan official authority that involved in the regulation of gambling business, and right from the stage, I was like googling like stake.com. No advertisement here, just stake.com, and they were so amazed by the fact that I can just right now top up in the local currency this offshore website. They were like looking, oh, they were thinking, okay, we banned online casinos, so there is no offshore online casino because we banned it in the law. It was not the fact. And I was like, okay, guys, yeah, we need to educate, we need to go there. But when authority is hiring somebody, I would say, prominent in the gambling industry in terms of their experience, this is maybe the point when something can change, because somebody would finally open their eyes in terms of how the things are being done. At least this is my belief. Maybe I'm wrong here, but this is my belief.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, let's move forward to the Serbian tax license and tax financial burden. Yeah, we opened a very big box of discussion of how should the gambling business be regulated and combating offshore, and it's a never-ending story. So let's focus on something more tangible, at least for the moment.
Yeah, of course, it's always a politically sensitive issue, and here in Serbia, we had these new amendments that came after the years of negotiations, obviously from all stakeholders, and from all these negotiations, we got what you see now on the screen. Let's just go quickly through the online gambling, since I suppose that is what most people are here interested in. Basically, there is one license for online gambling and includes all games, so sports betting, online casino, everything. And the fees are now increased, but only the minimum, or mostly where you see the increases in the minimum amount. So 15% of GGR is not too much. We've seen in Romania, I think it was 30. So that's not where the increase happened, but in this 50,000 euros per month, which is now a minimum authorization fee that you have to pay on top of the usual 10,000 euros. So basically, if you're a small operator that has under, let's say, 400,000 GGR per month, in Serbia, you have to pay this minimum amount irrespective of how much you actually made. And that's what is now, we'll see on the next two slides, what is now taking many operators thinking about exiting Serbia, revoking their license, since for them, it is not just financially sustainable to pay these amounts anymore. Even we can go maybe. So basically, you can screenshot this website if even
No need to screenshot. We will share this presentation among the audience, so they will have the recording, they will have this presentation. But anyway, thanks for this.
And yeah, you will have the slide then for the reference. But basically, these are the amounts. They were increased, and that now leaves an area of opportunity for maybe some other, for mergers, for acquisitions, and we'll see these on the next slide. Ivan, did you have a question?
Yeah. Well, this minimum 50K fee per month. What was the point of introducing of this requirement, and what was the outcome? I would say so. Obviously, somebody has something in mind when they introduced this minimum fee to collect more money. But how it resulted in reality, in practice, I would say.
I mean, obviously, when you see this 15% GGR fee, you would say it's on the lower range of the fees. So you had a widespread, basically, agreement or understanding that fees need to increase in Serbia. And now, after, as I said, there are many stakeholders negotiating this part, and what you would expect is for the percentage to increase. But no, basically in December we were hit with the amendment where these minimum fees were increased. And what then happened? Well, obviously everyone but the top players and top guys are now getting squeezed out of the market, so there is less competition. And now anyone making over, let's say, 500,000 GGR, which is 6 million per year, now is having is actually benefiting from these amendments. Why? Well, there is less competition, and the amounts or the fees are not comparatively are not that high after you make this, let's say, high watermark. So basically, less introduction of new operators, because now for the first year you need to budget in obviously this minimum 60,000 euros per month, although you still haven't had the time to develop your player base and your operations. So these are the consequences, and we'll see how the things will develop in the future.
Wow. Such artificial barrier, right?
I mean, some would say that the big guys had their talent in this. I'm not gonna comment on that, but yeah, some would say
because you're in Serbia, not me, right?
Yeah. But what I can say that the big name operators are definitely profiting from these amendments significantly.
Okay, audience, do your conclusion. This is not our saying; it's the numbers and the facts represented in the law. But we all know how to make the conclusions. Okay, moving forward, then let's speak about these new amendments. I guess we'll touch on Serbia.
Yeah, we went over this. We can go to the next slide for the sake of the time. Basically, we already covered this, but this is the important now here slide regarding Serbia. Because of these increased minimum fees, you have smaller operators that are trying to exit the market. They are holding on. So there is now an opportunity here for any foreign operators not to start from the scratch, not to go from to zero, but to acquire one of these distressed operators. Obviously, you have the compliance issues. You have to show the source of wealth. Still you have to declare UBOs. Still you have to go through the process with the Games of Chance administration. But what do you avoid? Well, you avoid this setting up period of 1 year or 2 year while you're developing your player base and while you have these big fees to pay. So it can be beneficial to think about actually acquiring one of the operators that has valid license and that is trying to exit the market. So the price can be negotiated there. We already saw some transactions, and we're definitely keeping an eye on those in the future.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Igor. I guess my would be a logical question about the Romanian current market consolidation outlook and how basically new amendments are being affected, apart from the slots amendment that we already discussed in short details, but maybe there are other, I would say, important amendments and which affect the current outlook of the Romanian gambling market.
No, now we are in the middle of this storm with the retail, because most of the mayors, they didn't take any decision until now, and it is a big problem because this created a big mess in the last 2 months because of the fact they didn't have any transitory rules. And the law says that when you go and reauthorize your equipment, you need to have the approval from the local authorities. The commission from the National Gambling Office did not give any authorization to any slots in the last 2 months. Only on the last commission, because a couple of the cities, they already had the approval from the mayors. They were the first machines that they were approved. But imagine that probably almost 20,000 machines in the last 2 months were put down. And this affects a lot the business, because in Romania, in a slot business, you need to have minimum 75 machines. And in slot halls, you need to have, for example, minimum 12. I'm giving you an example. You need to have minimum 12 machines or more. And if in allocation, you have 6 machines that were losing the authorization last month, and the commission did not give you the authorization for the 12 machines, then you have only 6 machines with authorization, which goes under the minimum number of the machines mandatory by law for you to operate the location. This means that you need to close all the location. And you, like operator, you are facing this situation, or in other scenarios, from 100 machines, for example, if you are having 75 machines with no authorization and the commission will not give you the authorization for the 75, and it happened, you are losing the authorization for the other 25.
Wow.
And
Wow.
immediately also the license. This is like an indirect effect. So it was a lot of companies that they lost a lot of locations, or they lost the license. This is the main challenge now, and is the main challenge for the retail operators, and some of them they also have online. So it's a mess. Of course, this will have the effect that we spoke earlier. Black market will raise, and now everybody is trying to understand what is the next step or not. From the online perspective, those changes that also we spoke earlier, of course, the big ones will benefit from it. When you have money, you can comply. The small ones will disappear. This gives kind of changes and dynamic of the market in this period. Probably in the next year, we will see some changes. Some of the licenses will be lost in online, and might be also some newcomers from the big operators that are looking, and from my information, there are newcomers that are looking on the market right now, and the biggest ones will become bigger. But again, we need to understand what this means when you regulate, because if you pass the line, then the big ones will be also affected, and the black market will flourish.
Wow, 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 wow. Yes, the biggers are becoming bigger.
Yes.
Yeah, as usual, I would say.
Yeah.
Kind of interesting stuff. Okay, got it, got it. Thank you very much. Then once again, your practical insights are superly appreciated. This is, I would say, kind of the comparative snapshot that we have done in terms of the market entrance toward these two amazing countries. Basically, yeah, because well, Serbia and Romania, they don't usually go together in terms of the client's portfolio, but they are being discussed, I would say, together as the, I would say, Eastern European markets that somebody wants to enter, and obviously they're trying to compare. So as we can see from this slide, well, the requirements seem to be quite, I would say, comparable. Apart from the license fees, taxes, and the platform certification to the product, I would say this is, I would say, three most things that differ between each markets. But anyway, yeah, this is something that you also have to take a look and understand about the regulation there. If you have something to add here, my dears Dan and Igor, let me know. But I guess it's seemed to be quite a logical, I would say, and from the perspective of the current state of affairs.
From my side, I don't have nothing.
Seems pretty clear. Yeah.
Super. Yeah, I guess just the our conclusions, let me put it this way. Yeah, so as we correctly discussed with dear Kaliaguis, these three items that I mentioned, kind of the difference between the markets, but obviously not all the difference, but three main difference. But obviously, like Serbia is I would say lower in terms of this GGR in general of the market compared to Romania, because Romania is much bigger country in terms of the population and overall spend. So that's why I would say Romania is being looked in terms of the market size. But everybody is I would say, have some troubles and according to the new or maybe existing one, license fees and taxes and platform things. I see some chat question. I see. Yeah, it's Zoltan. Yeah, okay. I guess this would be the right time to spare some minutes in terms of the questions from the audience. I'm not sure if we have this, how can I put it, feature, but Zoltan, could you please navigate if we have any questions from the audience or not, or no questions? Okay. Okay, perfect. I guess I would take this opportunity to thank first of all Dan for your readiness to do the webinar with us. It's hugely appreciated from our end, and we are happy to invite you more and more. We've already been together on a number of panels, so I know for a fact that also after this webinar that is going to be some constructive and interesting discussion. So thank you once again for your time and having you here.
Thank you also for having me here. Thank you very much.
My pleasure, my pleasure. Igor, also thank you very much for your work on this presentation and in general on the Serbian outlook here. And I guess I would say a huge thanks to those who participated today on the webinar, to our dearest audience. Please stay tuned. We're going to do more and more webinars to you, and wish you all productive Monday. So yeah, I guess this is it. And our contacts. Yeah. Obviously, this is the last slide of our contacts where you can copy. And I think Dan is superly public person, not like us. I guess you can find him on the conference. You can find him on LinkedIn. You can find him everywhere. I guess this is the standard we need to adhere in terms of the publicity and in general.
Thank you.
Good. Thank you all. It was a great pleasure to have you. Wish you all the best, and thank you all.
Thank you.